Friends, I am glad to welcome you to my channel. Before listening to the story, I will ask you to subscribe and like. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. She was stunning, and I wanted her. I watched her approach the bar. I liked the way her dress fit, the way she moved. She was a wet dream waiting to be realized, and I was a dreamer. Then she appeared in my path, and my dream grew. When she sat down, I saw the sadness in her eyes. Staring at her hands, she was studying them intently, and not looking for someone in the bar, in particular, or in general. The barmaid started toward her, but I signaled, and she nodded just before the woman looked up and looked at me. "Hi, ma'am, I'm Dustin. Can I buy you a drink?" She frowned, and there was fire in her response. "Am I old enough to be a ma'am?" To tell the truth, she looked about my age, probably in her early 40s, so I nodded slightly. My parents taught me that any strange woman, regardless of age, deserves respect at least until she does something to prove otherwise. "Sorry, it's been a long day. I wouldn't want to bite your head off." "Oh, I think it's okay, thanks," I replied with a chuckle. "Nice to meet you, Jill. What would you like?" She ordered a whiskey. "It's a really hard day." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, sitting down on the stool next to her. "Do you want to talk about it? Or on the contrary, about something else to forget?" There was that hard look again as she looked me over, now looking at my hands. "Are you married?" "No, for several years now. My wife decided she needed something on the side, but I'm still paying the bills. I got divorced when I found out. Cheaters. God, I hate them." It was on the tip of her tongue, but then it came out in a torrent. "I came home early today and found my cheating husband in bed with a woman from the next street. Her husband works at home, so she came to our house. To our bed. Ugh. I'm sorry. What are you going to do? A divorce? Reconciliation?" "I have no idea," she said, fighting back tears. For the next hour or so, she poured out her heart to me, and I told her about my problems just as much as it took to support her. During this time, my initial thought of picking her up, taking her home and making crazy, meaningless love to her disappeared as I felt more and more like the friend she desperately needed. Obviously, she didn't feel it. "Dustin," she said, "you asked me where I was going from here. To your house. That's where I'm going. Now." As she spoke, she ran her hand along my thigh, and then reached out and kissed me, gently, sweetly, and so seductively. At first I hesitated, but then I gave in, closing my eyes when we were lost in this brief union. We parted after just a few seconds, looking into each other's eyes. She drank 2 glasses, or was it 3? The kiss was hot, even demanding. Besides, she was pretty petite, so I wasn't sure how much Jill was talking, and how much the booze was saying it for her. "Jill, no. Let me take you home." "No. Gregory the asshole will be there. To you. You are welcome." I agreed, not sure if she could handle it or if I would have to carry her for 4 blocks. Somehow she managed it, so I offered her another chance to go to my guest room and sleep it off. But she started taking off my shirt and trousers, and her clothes didn't fall far behind. She was even more beautiful than I expected. We kissed. It's touching. Gently. Lovingly. For a moment I felt guilty for not being the good guy she really needed, for taking advantage of her. But then she pulled on a condom and slid her whole body down me. Slowly at first, the restraint soon disappeared. We pushed together, making an incredible trip, over and over, stronger and stronger until we reached nirvana. Then we lay there. I was smiling, holding her naked to me. I was trying to be a good guy to help her, but tonight she needed a bad guy more, and I filled that role. Twice. Thinking about everything that happened, I decided that in the morning I would try to be a good guy again. Maybe I'll make her breakfast or something. When my husband cheated, I wanted revenge. But I found something more. Sunlight filtered through the gap between the curtains. The bed was soft and I didn't have a hangover, so I stretched languidly. Good morning, Jill. Don't you want to have breakfast?" Startled, I jumped up and pulled the sheet over me, hiding myself in an unfamiliar environment. Then I remembered the events of last night and night. I smiled sheepishly. "I guess it's a little late to cover up, isn't it?" "Where's your bathroom?" Looking just as shy, he pointed. "There's something you might need on the counter." "I'll go so you can get dressed." Now I remember everything. "Please stay, Dustin. I'll be right back." Wrapping myself in a sheet, I hurried inside. When I refreshed myself and returned, I saw my clothes on the bed, neatly folded. Dustin sat in the other corner, turning away so I could change my clothes. Instead, I walked over and stood in front of him. I gently turned his head towards me. I was married for almost 20 years and never cheated, until this night, when I decided to take revenge on my asshole, who will soon become an ex. Anyway, that's how it all started, but you helped me realize a lot more. What do you mean? You gave me what I needed when I was worse off than ever. Revenge first, it's true, but revenge itself wasn't as important as I'd hoped. I probably wouldn't even tell him. What was more important was to help me understand that I could still be loved. Yes, I know last night wasn't true love, but it showed me that maybe there is hope to find love again someday. It made me feel good, repeatedly I would add, but most of all, good mentally. I'm glad, Jill. No one deserves what he did to you. Yesterday, when I came home early hoping for a fun weekend, I found Gregory and Elena from the next street making love in our bed. Shocked, I ran away in anger and disgust, taking a couple of photos. After leaving the house, I called my sister. Together with my sister, we made plans to hide my absence. Together, we planned my revenge, even though I didn't know what to do next. Now, after that night, I knew. Thanks, Dustin. You didn't deserve that either. He nodded. He told me a little bit about his ex's affair when I was trying to fuel my intoxication, when I was trying to strengthen my courage to take revenge. Now revenge was forgotten, and only the thirst for freedom remained. Although technically I was still married, Gregory tore up our wedding vows in front of my eyes, and I was going to complete the process starting on Monday, when I planned to contact a divorce lawyer. Now I wanted to live. And love, at least in action, if not in reality. Standing in front of Dustin, I let the sheet fall off my shoulders, fully exposing myself to him again. My hands pulled his head down to my chest. His hands crossed behind my ass, holding me to him, and then his hands slid between my thighs higher to my folds. I leaned forward, wishing he was inside me. My hand slid down his sweatpants, finding that his manhood was tensing up to greet me. He plunged in again and again, hard, confident, letting me feel him while he enjoyed me. As our passion grew, so did our speed, and each of us was approaching our peak. I called his name, he called me, and we finished together. Then we lay with our arms around each other, exchanging tender kisses. Dustin chuckled. I tried to be nice last night to keep you from making a mistake. I tried again this morning, but it didn't work out for me again. I have to admit, I'm glad. No, Dustin, you're hitting the spot and there were no mistakes. So no more Mr. Nice Guy, okay? I'm free and I want you again right now the way you are.